Summary of Reflections on the Revolution in France by Edmund Burke. Edmund Burke writes to a young French reporter named Dupont and asks him what he thinks about the current revolutionary events in France. Burke says that he doesn't agree with the French Revolution or the Revolution Society, which works with France's National Assembly to bring revolutionary ideas to England. Burke starts by criticizing a sermon that dissenting preacher and political radical Richard Price just gave. Price says in his sermon that the English people have the right to choose our own governors, to cashier them for misconduct, and to frame a government for ourselves because of the ideas behind the Glorious Revolution in 1688. Burke says Price's view of the Glorious Revolution is wrong and that the Declaration of Rights that followed it did not set out these rights. For instance, it didn't say how England's rulers would be chosen. Instead, it set up a clearer line of Protestant succession, seeing this as a way to protect English freedoms. The leaders of the Glorious Revolution also set up regular parliamentary meetings. They didn't want to set a model for future uprisings. Instead, they saw their work as a defense of the rights spelled out in the Magna Carta, not as the creation of a new government. Burke says that the French Revolution was an impulsive revolt against a legal monarch that broke France away from its ancestral roots. It's not that Burke doesn't believe in the rights of man, but he says they aren't a good enough reason for government. Instead, government is a contrivance of human wisdom to provide for human needs. It is based on deep knowledge of human nature and deeds, not on theories. Focusing on vague rights can make people forget about people and support the grand spectacle of change. Burke retells the story of how the troops attacked Versailles on October 6, 1789, and drove the king and queen to Paris against their will. He paints a very sympathetic picture of Queen Marie Antoinette and says that the events in France have become less human because of the decline of honor and loyalty. The victory of rights of men makes it harder for people to see what is right and wrong. He says that people in England value their prejudices, or long-held, untaught feelings of what is right and wrong. In contrast to France, which is becoming more interested in radical deism and atheism, England sees faith as the foundation of society. England also sees the government as a holy protector of society and good behavior, something that should not be disrespectfully reversed. Burke questions whether or not the French Revolution was really necessary, saying that most French politicians, even as early as 1789, were looking for change, not revolution. Many things were wrong with the monarchy, the aristocracy, and the church, but none of these things justified the despotic democracy that is now in power. Burke says that revolutionaries change history, like by bringing up memories of religious persecution that happened hundreds of years ago, to make people angry at people in the present, like pastors who haven't done anything bad. Burke does an in-depth analysis of France's institutions. He says that the new lawmakers in the National Assembly are too ambitious and don't have the wisdom and common sense to do the slow, careful work of change. By carefully looking at what the National Assembly has done, including its work as a legislature, its role as a governing body, its role in the army, the courts, and the financial system, he shows that it is not up to the task of fulfilling its strict duties. For instance, the way it redrawn the map of France into squares to show representation has made inequality worse, not better. France's already weak economy will probably fail because it relies too much on taking back land from the church. And the army's internal discipline is terrible, making it impossible for it to keep order and demand respect. Burke ends by telling France that they should follow the British model. He says again that people should only make changes to protect current freedoms and show respect for their ancestors. In other words, they should aim for reform, not revolution. While he doesn't think he can change Dupont's mind, he does ask him to think about his views, which are based on many years of service and observation, because the French Commonwealth may need them one day.
About the author. Burke was born in Dublin, Ireland. His mother was Catholic and his father was Protestant. In Ireland, he went to both Catholic and Protestant schools to learn. After that, he went to London to study law. At first, he wanted to be a writer. From 1758 to about 1765, he was editor of the literary journal Annual Register. After that, he started working for the government. The most important was his job as Lord Rockingham's servant, starting in 1765, the same year Burke was elected to the House of Commons. He stayed in the House until 1794, when he retired. Burke wrote talks and materials that were meant to stir up trouble for the Rockingham Whigs. He often said bad things about policies in the American colonies and British India. He also wanted to see less discrimination against Catholics in Ireland. But he is best known for writing against revolutions, such as Reflections on the Revolution in France, 1790, and Letters on a Regicide Peace, 1797 to 1797. A Philosophical Inquiry into the Origin of Our Ideas of the Sublime and Beautiful, 1757, and A Vindication of Natural Society, 1756, are some of Burke's other works.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.